So let's review what happened this past week, starting with Adam and the World of Football Scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to kick things off with Week 3 of the Canadian Football League, and that all started last Thursday night, where the Edmonton Elks finally got their first win of the season. This time, they played the British Columbia Lions, and they defeated the Lions 21-16. It was a sellout crowd there in British Columbia. It was their first home game of the season, so
good to see that.
Exciting to see that, and like a lot of these teams we're going to talk about, it's the first time having a home game in 2 years.
Right, yeah.
So
since the 2019 season.
Yeah, so real crazy, real special, so fans are coming out in full force, pretty much full force and supporting their teams. But yeah, so Edmonton getting their first win as the Elks. Edmonton quarterback Trevor Harris had a heck of a game, 26-31, 296 yards passing, and he threw a touchdown. So good for him. Running back for the Elks, James Wilders ran 22 times for 127 yards. And wide receiver Greg Ellington caught 9 passes for 148 yards in the win.
That's quite a trio of performances in that game.
Yeah, good performances, but they've shown flashes of being real good. Like that first game, Harris was 333 yards passing, but he threw 3 interceptions in that first game of the season. So we knew that they could move the ball down the field, but at the same time, would turnovers be a problem? And here, luckily they get the W this time. And for British Columbia, I thought British Columbia would be a smidge more competitive in this one. I mean, I know they got rid of their kicker that we talked about that last week. Yep. But I thought, British Columbia, it's only a 5-point loss. So,
right.
Whatever. It's still early in the season.
They should have been, really up for the game. Yeah, maybe they were. Maybe they just ran up against a team that was running on all cylinders.
Hey, in the CFL, I think right now all these teams are, I won't say completely evenly matched, but it's still so early in the season. It's hard to say who the best team is. I know they do their CFL power rankings every week, and so we'll see.
It's hard to beat a team when you've got a 100-yard receiver, a 100-yard rusher, and a quarterback that throws for nearly 300 yards. Yeah. That's a lot of offense.
That is a lot of offense. But, that British Columbia defense, since we talked about it also last week, at halftime of that first game, that defense had stepped up after that point. And, still only allowing 21 points is, nothing to sneeze at. But, that offense has got to do something to help that defense out a little bit. So. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on. The Calgary Stampeders defeated the Montreal Alouettes 28-22. And boy, oh boy, what a finish for this game. We'll get to that in a second. But let's talk about Calgary rookie quarterback Jake Meyer? Mayer. Oh.
Yeah, I think it's Mayer, like a horse mare.
Okay.
The way they were pronouncing it on TV.
So he had to fill in for injured quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell, who we talked last week about, his first 0-2 start to the season, and he'd never done that before, and a little bit of a surprise. But filling in for a guy like Bo Levi Mitchell, he threw Mayer threw 16 of 20. He was 16 of 29 passing for 304 yards, threw a touchdown, couple interceptions. What do you expect from a rookie?
Right.
But everybody, what we talked about after this was that final play of the game. Montreal was in it, right there at the end. Yep. They threw that pass, and the way the guy caught it, his feet were in the end zone, but just where he had the ball was just right there about the one.
Yeah, he had to reach out of the end zone to get the ball. The ball never crossed the goal line. They looked at it. They sent that to the command center in Toronto to look at, and they said no, the ball did not cross the goal line. So, and that was as time expired. That was the last play of the game, and what an exciting ending. If he'd have caught that, and across the goal line, of course they would have won the game, but. Just outside the goal line.
Yeah, because they just had to kick the extra point, and then hopefully, I'm not saying that's automatic, but
sure.
But what an exciting finish! But man, you got to feel for the Alouette fans there. I feel like that's like something that would happen to the Lions of the Detroit Lions.
Well, now Alouette fans know what it's like to be a Lions fan.
Let's not insult them that much. Moving on, the Toronto Argonauts. That's right, I'm repping a Toronto Argonauts
shirt. That's right, you
today.
are. It's a very nice shirt. I haven't seen that. You got that the other day, but I don't think you showed that to me.
Nope, I got a Toronto Argonauts shirt.
I like that.
I thought I'd rep it today, especially after they defeated the defending Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers 30-23. It's the first home game for Toronto, and you had to make a special note of this. 665 days.
Yep.
This is also the second week in a row, because we did talk about them losing to the
right.
Blue Bombers last week. Now this week it was like a home and home.
Right.
So they got their revenge.
Yep, they sure did.
The Argos had a 13-0 lead in the second quarter until linebacker Jesse Briggs recovered a fumble and returned it 80 yards for a touchdown. Argos quarterback Nick Arbuckle was 23 of 32 passing for 310 yards and a touchdown, while Toronto running back DJ Foster ran the ball 10 times for 101 yards and a touchdown. So that's 2 weeks in a row. The Argos have had different running backs. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. Two running backs with 11, 12 carry, less than,
I think last week was 9 carries.
I think last week was 11 carries.
For what, Josh White?
Josh White, I think, 11 carries, 100-something yards. Now this week, this guy carried the ball 10 times for 101 yards. Yep. So Argos look like they got a couple of good running backs in there. So
if you need any football fix, go to the CFL website, cfl.ca. Check out the recap highlights of the Argos game and the Montreal Calgary game. Yeah, both of those games, great highlights. I mean, we're talking about just a few plays here, but that whole game was just back and forth. Just really, really great highlights. If you want to see some great football, check out both of those games highlight. Well, check out all 4 games that were played, but those 2 especially, were really great.
Yep. And then we'll end the CFL week by talking about the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeating the Ottawa Redblacks 23-10. Saskatchewan quarterback Cody Fajardo, who's quickly becoming probably my favorite quarterback in the CFL, was 30 of 35 passing for 321 yards. No passing touchdowns.
No.
But he also led the team in rushing with 47 yards on 9 carries and a rushing touchdown. So he's been doing it with his legs quite a bit lately. And then kicker Brett Lothar kicked 5 field goals in the game for the Rough Riders.
Yeah, so 30 of 35 passing.
That's a lot. I mean, we already talked about how the CFL is.
It's mainly passing. That's what I like about it.
It's still crazy to see 30 of 35. Yeah, but I mean that's also pretty accurate. I mean, you only missed 5 passes, so pretty good. And then the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the team on bye this week, and real quick we'll run down the standings as they are currently. In the West, Saskatchewan now is the sole team at number 1 with a 3-0 record, followed by Winnipeg at 2-1. Then you have Edmonton, British Columbia, and Calgary, all at 1-2 to round out the West. Moving over to the East, Toronto is 2-1, Montreal and Ottawa at 1-1, and Hamilton 0-2. And I believe next week, Hamilton. Crap, I'm doing it again. Hamilton, who are they supposed to play? It's never written down in the rundown. I write it down specifically somewhere else. So Adam's going to.
But right now you've got one team still undefeated, and that's Saskatchewan at 3-0, and you got one team that's winless, Hamilton at 0-2. So everybody else has got at least one win and at least one loss.
Okay, so Hamilton is at Montreal. I have to look it up. I always use the CFL app to do that.
All right. I will put it in the rundown.
Yes, it's got to go in the rundown.
Sheesh.
Because, it's just, you don't want to just talk about them being on bye. You want to talk about who they play next. And they play the 1-1 Montreal Alouettes next week. So,
all right, fine.
We'll see.
I'll try and do a better job next week, son.
Yeah, okay. Camera's right there. You looked at the wrong one.
I'm not looking at any cameras.
Oh.
I've not looked at a camera yet.
I mean, the camera's right there.
Maybe later.
You can look at it. It's right there.
No, I don't want to look at it.
I mean, for our audio listeners, this is great. For our YouTube listeners or watchers. All right, I guess I have to move on to the Indoor Football League. It was the final week of the season, Week 18. The Arizona Rattlers kicked things off. They defeated the Frisco Fighters. So this was a matchup of the top 2 teams, and all these games had some sort of impact on the seedings and the how everything is going to shake out. So Arizona was the number 1 team coming in. They're the number 1 team coming out. They defeat the Frisco Fighters 55-38, and the Frisco Fighters, who were number 2, well, we'll talk about where that drops them in a little bit. The Sioux Falls Storm got a win over the Green Bay Blizzard 58-33, clinching a playoff spot for themselves and eliminating the Green Bay Blizzard. Yeah, like that was just they had the same record, I want to say, going into the game, and then that pretty much just, put one in, took one out.
Winner goes in, goes to playoffs, the other one goes home.
Yep. So then the Massachusetts Pirates, who were sitting at the number 3 seed, got a win over the Iowa Barnstormers, who already clinched a spot last week. But man. I don't know if Iowa sat some guys or what, but they blew the Barnstormers' doors right off, 55-19. This is the 8th straight win for the Pirates after jumping from the National Arena League to the IFL this year.
Yeah, the Pirates could be peaking at the right time. Getting in the playoffs with 8 straight wins.
We'll see. Yeah, they're going to have some competition, and we're going to talk about those playoff seedings in a second. The Tucson Sugar Skulls got a win over the Northern Arizona Wranglers, 56-38. But I guess that is the one game that might not have resulted in any playoff implication. Both these teams were eliminated anyway.
Yeah, they sure were.
And finally, the Duke City Gladiators defeated the Bismarck Bucks 57-45 to change the seedings a little bit. And then the Spokane Shock were the lone team on bye. And what a time to have a bye. Week before the playoffs start, when everybody's going to be playing.
Well, they already have secured a spot, so they're still in the playoffs.
Yep. So normally we'd sit here and we talk about the seedings, or not the seedings, the standings in the CFL, the IFL. But we're going to talk about the playoff matchups, and we're going to go from we have 3 games this upcoming Saturday night.
Yep.
And then we got 1 game on Sunday. So we're going to start things off. The number 2 Massachusetts Pirates are going to host the number 7 seed Bismarck Bucks, followed by the number 3 seed Frisco Fighters hosting the number 6 seed Spokane Shock, the number 4 seed Iowa Barnstormers hosting the number 5 seed Duke City Gladiators, and on Sunday, the number 1 seed Arizona Rattlers will host the number 8 seed Sioux Falls Storm.
Yep, so that leaves Green Bay, Tucson, and
Northern Arizona
as the 3 that didn't make the playoffs this year.
Yep. And we're going to talk, we still got some more IFL stuff to talk about a little later. Yep. We'll come back around to that. Okay. But that is it for the World of Football scoreboard for this week.
All right, thank you.